Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Marvel Contest of Champions. And today we are going to talk about my Science Champion tier list for Marvel Contest of Champions. So I have listed out all of the champions in an Excel sheet, and we are going to go over my top 11, because it's always 11, not top 10, champions, and then we're going to do fights for 6 of them towards the end of this video against a Act 8, Chapter 4, Quest 1 Juggernaut, and we're going to compare all of them to each other against that same Juggernaut. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. All right, let's take a look at our list here. And the first champion that we've got on the list is Photon. You are going to see my eyes kind of go over that way a little bit because the Excel sheet is on another screen. So I'm going to try and look at it here, but you will see my eyes every once in a while move over to the right. So Photon is our first champion. You can see here that I've got all of these listed out. I've got the top 11. Photon, Count Nefaria, Spider-Ham, Hulk, Luke Cage, Silk, Titania, Overseer, Morbius, She-Hulk, and Quicksilver. I have them all kind of larger font, and then everybody else is a smaller font. Some of these are not available as 7 stars, so I listed that as a no in this column. And if I've got them ranked 3, I put that in here. I do not have a Quicksilver ranked to rank 3. I don't think I even have him. But these are my ranks, 1 through 11. Each one has a shtick, a thing that they do, and we've got them all listed here. Photon is our first, and we are going to be looking at Khonshu's Ankh for most of this material. I've got Silk up here right now. We've got the 7 stars out right now, and so let's open up Photon. Where is Photon? There is Photon right there. And I like the layout that Khonshu's Ankh has for all of these champions, because you can see everything they've got. I have a rank 3 Sig level 200. So you can see where that goes from there. The big things on Photon are untouchable on stun. So if she gets stunned, she phases out and you can't touch her at all. That can come in handy. Let me say that can come in handy. She's immune to bleed and power steal. She can parry non-contact attacks, which is one of the few champions that can do that. So she is a good counter against champions like Onslaught. She has tons of debuffs. Let's look at some of those debuffs, because there's a lot of them here. So I'm going to be looking over here. So first medium is a suppression, and both champions' first medium does a suppression, which reduces combat power rate, which is important. Photon's first and third light attack inflict an energy vulnerability, and the first hit of either champion's heavy attack inflicts a sunder, which reduces critical resistance. And she does crits really well, and that's a big thing with her is crit damage. And then she gets, so those are mainly her debuffs. She also gets debuffs in her Special 1, her Special 2, which are taunts and overloads, which are great. So lots and lots and lots of debuffs in her. In addition, she's got these electromagnetic charges, which the electromagnetic charges, here's the pure light form, they function a lot like Captain Movie Marvel's charges, where they carry over into the next fight. When she hits 25, she goes into her pure light form, and she can't miss. All personal debuffs expire 50% more slow, and she gets a bunch of furies. That's a big deal. So she's going to do a bunch of damage. All right, our second champion, let's go back here to the science list. Our second champion that we are going to look at is Count Nefaria. So I have him as a 7-star. He is ranked 3. He is my number ranked 2 in the tier list. And the big things about him is he is immune to power steal and bleed, very similar to Photon. He has a 90% reduction to shocks and incinerates, so that's even more utility. And then he has this thing called stored energy buildup. So every time the opponent gets a bar of power, they are going to convert stored energy into energy buildups. And when he uses one of his specials, particularly his special 1, he gains ionic charges. Those get converted over, and he can go into ionic overcharge. So that's the big shtick with him. And a couple of things happen. So if you're going up against champions that gain power, like a lot of the Mystic champions, they will get energy buildups very fast, and you will go into ionic overcharge very fast. The second thing is, if you are in ionic overcharge and the opponent is regenerating, you get to suck away some of that regeneration. So let's take a look at Count Nefaria. Here he is right here. And he's got a well-timed block of aid. That's the thing. Here's the ionic charges. You get 10 for a well-timed block. You lose 20 if you're inflicted with a bleed while fighting non-Mystic champions. And they grant an attack rating, and they max out at 100. They also grant physical and energy resistance and degen resistance as well. So that's another big thing. A lot of utility in this champion. And then at 100 ionic charges, he goes into ionic overcharge. And Count Nefaria's special attack, he loses 100 charges when it expires. During this, all of his attacks are non-contact attacks. That's a big deal. And deal energy damage instead of physical. Additionally, the opponent's regeneration and ability power rates are reduced by 95%. And when they gain ability, he gains 60% of the power denied this way. In addition, during ionic overcharge, passively regenerating 10 to 80% of the health denied to the opponent due to reduction in energy rate. So that's down here. Here is the reduction here. And so he actually will regenerate. You do want him to be awakened because of this. And then when the opponent gains 100 to 20% of a bar of power from a passive or a buff, instantly gain 50 ionic charges. So anybody that gains power, he's going to gain ionic charges very fast. So what you do is you want to work up to a special 1 with enough of these energy buildups and ionic charges that you can go into overcharge. Because with the special 1, each devoured energy buildup grants 16 ionic charges, 2% of his missing health, and 9% of a bar of power. I had to look over there and look at that because the green is very hard to read. So those are big deals. So you want to hit that. Once you've hit that ionic overcharge, you want to then build up to a special 2 and use the special 2. So you get a Fury. You get 1 of these Furies per 10 ionic overcharge. So you at 110, you get 11 of these. And they last for 16 seconds. You get a maximum of 15. The final hit incinerates for a ton of damage. And against Mystic champions, it inflicts a plasma. So all good things for him. All right, our next champion is Spider-Ham. He is number 3 on my list. I do have him as a 6 and 7 star, and he is ranked 3 for me. His big shtick is Porker Poppers on medium attacks. So you want to do a lot of medium, light, mediums. He has Spider Sense, which is an evade. So if you back up and hold the block, he will activate it. And then when the opponent comes at him, he'll evade it. You can back up more. He'll get an unblockable, and then he can come forward and hit them. If he does it, if he hits them while they're unblockable, he puts more Porker Poppers on them. And the Porker Poppers are all power stings. So they will do damage when the opponent uses their special. And then he has Spider Nonsense. And the big thing about the Spider Nonsense charges, they go up as the opponent gains power. They max out at 10, and then they disappear. And then they start going back up again. the more nonsense charges he has, the more percent chance he has of reactivating Porker Poppers after they have already popped. So doing more power sting damage. So let's take a look at him. Here is Spider Ham. Where are you at? There he is right there. Spider Ham. Okay. And so whenever he evades, he places his Porker Popper on the opponent. And they talk about medium attacks and the Porker Poppers here. There's the damage that they do. And the chance is increased by 25% if the opponent is stunned. So you want to parry and then medium, light, medium. Because it's an increase. It's a base 50% and then it's increased. And they actually go up if he is awakened. And this talks about the spider nonsense and the ability to do the evades, the Porker Poppers, the special one, the special two. The special two is where you put a whole bunch of Porker Poppers on them. You want to get as many Porker Poppers on the opponent as you can, and then you want to hit them with a special three. Because if they have triggered 15 or more, you place 4 on them. If the opponent has triggered 15 or more in the fight, you place Porker Popper on them. For every Porker Popper that was triggered, he can do a ton of damage. So that is him. Our next champion is the Hulk. I have him as a 6-star and a 7-star. He is rank 3, and he is my number 4. He is immune to poison. He gets Furies, which when he gets 15 turn into Gamma Rage. That is his big thing. And then if you Gamma Rage, if you use your special 3 when he is in Gamma Rage, it goes into a special Gamma Rage. So let's take a look at that. And then he will do a ton of damage. Just a ton of damage. So Gamma Rage here. And it will put physical vulnerabilities on the opponent. If you use your special 3 while you're in Gamma Rage, you inflict an 11,000 physical vulnerability versus this 144 debuff for 3 seconds. And it is absolutely nasty when you do it. He will do 60, 70,000 points of damage per medium and like 30, 40,000 damage per light. So it is very nasty how much damage he does. And then he's got a lot of resistance to damage. He doesn't start putting debuffs on opponents until he gets some of his specials out, though. So he doesn't put debuffs on opponents with basic attacks until he's in Gamma Rage. All right, our next opponent is Luke Cage, one of my favorites. I have him as a 6-star and a 7-star. He is a rank 3 7-star. He is my rank number 5. He is immune to bleed. He has a ton of damage resistance. His attack rating bonus goes up every debuff that he puts on, and he puts these exhaustion debuffs on. And, of course, his big shtick is his debuffs. So let's take a look at him. Luke Cage. Where is the bald guy right there? There he is. So there it is. He has an 80% chance to inflict an exhaustion, reducing crit damage by 116 per exhaustion. And Luke Cage gains a 1,500 attack rating for each non-unique buff on the opponent. So this will cause that to stack up. And then he gets a 3,000 attack for each unique buff. So the first one is a 3,000 to his attack rating. The second one is a 1,500 and so on. And he gets a lot of them. So you put these on. After you've put a certain number on, you get a Sunder, which reduces their crit resistance to basically nothing. If you hit them with a heavy attack, you put a Debilitate on, which increases the duration of all of these exhaustion buffs that are on them. Basically, they will not be doing crits at all. If you then hit them with a special 2, you consume up to 5 of these to inflict a concussion, which reduces ability accuracy per debuff. You can do this up to 100%. Against mystic opponents, apply additional concussion if 5 exhaustions were consumed. You can do a special 3 to inflict a trauma, and a special 1 to do burst damage. I like to get a bunch of different debuffs up, and then I like to go to a special 2 or a special 3, and then run up from a special 2 up to another special 2, or from a special 3 to another special 2. All right, Silk is our next champ. I have her as a 6 and 7 star. I have her as a rank 3, 7 star. She is number 6 on my tier list. Her shticks are physical vulnerabilities on all basic attacks. When she heavies, she gets a Fury. And also when she heavies, it will stun the opponent for like a second, but that's really all you need. She has Rupture Slow Resistance. That means she reduces the damage from, or the effect of both of those. And then she has this special evade for special attacks, which will help you out a lot. So let's take a look at Silk. And here is Silk. And there's the evade. All attacks give this 305 vulnerability. I have her as a rank 3, so it's a 288. Heavy attacks, while charging a heavy attack, if the opponent is within striking distance. So you parry, you hit the heavy, they get stunned, and then the first hit grants a Fury, and then you let that hit, and then you go right into a special. Because the Fury lasts for long enough for the special to go off. And they're refreshed when the opponent is struck and removed when the opponent activates a special. And so I like to just go all the way up to a special 2, and then parry, hit the heavy, and go into the special 2, which puts a Sunder on them and does a whole bunch of burst damage on the final hit. She's got this thing where she can slow opponents with heavies if they're against a wall, and then while it's active, they reduce their regeneration rate. She didn't really need to be awakened per se. So awesome champ, does a ton of damage. All right, our next champ is Titania. I have her as a 6 and 7 star. She is a rank 3, 7 star. She is number 7 on our tier list. She is immune to buffs, so she is one of the few champions that's immune to buffs. So if there is a node that punishes you for getting buffs, she is the one to bring in. She has a unblockable, unstoppable, indestructible Haymaker ability. So there's a little purple fist that appears on her kit. And when you charge forward or use a heavy, she becomes unblockable, unstoppable, and indestructible for a certain amount of time. If you do this while the opponent has a special 3 and they use it, you will take no damage. And then she puts debuffs, so suppression debuffs, and a few other things with her specials as well. And then she gets Furies, and she will get these Furies every time she puts a debuff on an opponent, and she can do it through their block, which is awesome. So let's take a look at her very quickly. If you don't know, now you know. There's Titania. There's the Haymaker. While these effects are active, each hit deals a burst of damage. I have her as a rank 3, so it is 283. She's got a lot of physical resistance. Whenever the opponent is afflicted with the debuff, she gains a Fury. All of the debuffs can be afflicted through a block, which is awesome. And then the light attack inflicts a suppression, which reduces combat power rate, so 5%, does it for 2 seconds. So you can't put too many of these on, but you can put quite a few on. And then the first hit of a heavy inflicts a stagger, which will get rid of buffs, which can be very useful. And then the first hit lands while the Haymakers are active. The final hit inflicts a stack of Titania's personal debuffs, an extra stack. So what you want to do is you want to have the Haymaker ready to go, and then you want to activate it. You want to hit with the first hit of the heavy, and then you want to go right into the special 3 because you inflict 2 fatigues, 2 exhaustions, 2 decelerates, 2 disorients, etc., etc. So she is pretty awesome indeed. Our next champ is Overseer. I have him as a 6 star and a 7 star. He is a rank 3, 7 star. He is number 8 on my list. And his big thing is retaliation. So when a opponent is recovering from a heavy or recovering from a special, he can hit them. If he can hit them, he will do retaliation. He has quite a bit of immunities, like immune to poison. He gets this thing called gamma power, and he gets an auto block after a lot of his specials. So let's take a look at him very quickly. Overseer is, where is he? Morbius. he is the Overseer. I forgot about that. He's got a "the" in front of him. So he is immune to Nullify, Fate Seal, and Stagger effects. He enhanced immunity provides him full immunity to poison. So he's got quite a few. These are a lot of things that Mystic champions do anyway. And then when the opponent gains a bar of power, gain an indefinite gamma power, granting an attack rating. And he is a rank 3, so this will be 901, and then a 17% potency of personal debuffs. At 3 or more of these, after launching a special, he goes into Cosmic mode, and while in Cosmic mode, he's going to do a ton of burst damage. So that you want to get a lot of these, actually. You want to get more than 3, because this lasts for 3.33 seconds per gamma power. You want to get quite a few of these. After opponent launches a special, you get a special concussion. So an indefinite, this doesn't go away, which reduces ability accuracy by 10% during specials. You can get up to 7 of these, and reducing a combo of 3 or more to lower removes 1 stack of these. So heavy attack taunts, and then after a special attack, he gets this auto block passive. And then here is the retaliation effect. So striking an opponent while they are recovering from a heavy special will deal a burst of damage. The effect lasts for 1 second. And I am up around the 6,000 point. And actually, it's a lot more. This is based off the attack rating. And I think right now it's like 11,000. And then if an opponent fails due to personal immunity or reduced ability accuracy, which comes from these concussions, it'll do damage as well. So really, the big thing comes from gaining as much of this Cosmic mode, activating a special 3, which inflicts a physical vulnerability, which reduces physical resistance, and then just blasting into them, and then doing damage in the meantime, in between all that, with all the retaliations. So pretty awesome champ indeed. All right, our next champ is Morbius. I have him as a 7-star. I have him as a 6-star, and he is a rank 3 7-star. He is my number 9. He has a psionic glide, so if you charge towards your opponent while the psionic glide icon is active, he will punch right through their block and hit them. So there's really nothing they can do. And then he will go into this slashing mode where he will put bleeds on. And that's his next shtick, is he does bleeds, and if the opponent is immune to bleed, he can put degens on them. He has an undying shtick, and he does a ton of damage on his special 3 if and only if there is a petrify on. Let's take a look at him so you can see that. Morbius is right here. And so if the opponent is petrified, and you get petrified here when the opponent is suffering from 10 or greater damaging debuffs, that would be these bleeds, then the petrify happens. If you hit them with the special 2 where the petrify happens, and I have him as a rank 3, the attack rating will go up by 2,358 for each debuff consumed. And then he passively regenerates damage from the second hit. So that is, I've seen it do 200,000 points of damage. It is nasty. And he gets this fervor charge, and fervor increases the ability accuracy of outgoing damaging effects. And it's a 20% chance per basic hit to inflict a bleed debuff. So he is pretty awesome. All right, our next champ in our list. We're coming to the end. It's She-Hulk. I have her as a 6 and 7-star. She is a rank 3 7-star. She is my number 10. Her big shtick is Furies, so she has a certain percent chance of getting a Fury during her basic attacks, including her heavy. If the opponent uses a special, they refresh the timer on all of her Furies. She has a slow on heavy, which is extremely important. She does a petrify on a special 2. She is immune to bleed. She does have a lot of physical resistance, and she has some really, really good awakened abilities. And it depends on the opponent that you're going after. So let's take a look at her. Here is She-Hulk. And again, here she has tireless research. So against Mystics, she gets a bump to her attack rating. and they cause the opponent to gain less power. Against Science, 30 to 70% chance with each hit landed to purify a debuff. Against against Cosmic, she gets a bump to her attack rating for each buff the opponent had. And this is almost like a Mystic ability. Against Tex, opponent suffers a penalty to their armor up effects. And against Mutants, they suffer a ability accuracy during special attacks, a negative to their ability accuracy. So that's pretty good. And so here we see immune to poison. She-Hulk Sharp Intellect increases their chance to launch a special by 19% for each personal fury effect, which you want them to do that, because when a non-skill opponent activates a special, She-Hulk refreshes all of her personal furies, which she has an 11% chance, and that's not 11, that's 11% chance to gain a passive fury when attacked or attacking. That is not great. You might get a fury out of a 5-hit combo. And then the slow on heavies. Extensive weight training allows She-Hulk's personal fury effects and stun debuff to last 50% longer based on the size of her opponent. So larger grants a larger effect. So she's really good at large opponents, just like Titania is. And she does a couple of different debuffs on some specials like a Petrify. But the big thing is you want to get as many fury effects on her as you can. You want to bait the opponent to use their special so you can keep those furies. And essentially, you want to get up to a special 3. I like to get to a special 3 and then work back up to a special 2. You get a greater attack rating, particularly against Mystics. All right, our last champion in this is Quicksilver. I have him as a 6 and 7 star. I do not have him ranked because he is not awakened, and he is number 11. He inflicts whiplashes, which when the whiplashes expire do a certain amount of damage. He has momentum, which every time he moves back, he gets momentum, and he gets certain things as the momentum goes up, like he permanently puts a slow on an opponent when they hit 300 momentum. And if he evades attacks, he puts withers on the opponent. So let's take a quick look at Quicksilver, because he is one of the better champions in this game. Here is Quicksilver right here. A lot of stuff. Double momentum charges on a heavy. When he gets 300 momentum charges by dodging backwards, he gets 12. He gets 12 every time he dodges backwards. And a basic hit grants 1 charge. When he gets 300 charges, the opponent, Quicksilver cannot miss, and the opponent is slowed. So that's a big thing. At 600 charges, he can trigger parry mastery against non-contact attacks. And at 900 charges, enter terminal velocity, increasing the dodge invulnerability window by 33% and retaining all momentum for 10 seconds. And his big thing is the whiplash. And if you do a medium-light-medium combo or reaching 50 stacks of whiplash, causing all stacks to expire and burst damage after 2 seconds. So basic attacks have a 35% chance to inflict a whiplash, dealing 3,300 physical damage after 12 seconds, dodging an attack, and a second medium refreshes the whiplashes. So you want to do a medium, light, medium kind of combo with him. And then, he gets better with terminal velocity and with whiplashes when he is awakened. So this is our list. We are going to do fights with the top 6 from Photon to Silk against a particular Juggernaut in 8-4-1, and we're going to compare and contrast each one of them. So let's get into those fights. All right, the first fight that we are going to do is in 8-4-1, and we're going to do this fight for every one of these champs just to kind of highlight and compare and contrast each one against the same opponent. First champ we're going to do is Photon, and the fight we are going to do is against a Juggernaut in 8-4-1, and this is a pretty beefy Juggernaut. This Juggernaut has roughly 646,000 health, The team I'm using is here. Very specifically, the reason I'm using that team is for the synergy. So we are going to synergize each one of these champs out to the maximum as we go through and do these fights. So this Juggernaut has certain nodes on them. They've got Hellblade, so whenever they hit into a block or block a hit, they gain 1,000% Pierce passive. However, whenever they suffer from 4 or more debuffs, which we're going to do very quickly, any weapon node active on the defender is disabled, and then we can, while they're unarmed, the defender's weapon node is on cooldown. They are inflicted with a physical vulnerability, and then we can capture it when we activate a striker. And then it's also got Berserk. So while the weapon node is on cooldown, the defender's special attacks become unblockable, but we can unblock unblockable stuff with her. And got aggressive. So let's get into this here. And our objective is to just get as many debuffs on as we can right away. So we're going to start with this one right here. And that shuts off. And there was an unblockable. And we didn't really take anything at all. So we're going to, now it's gone. Okay, we want him to do that, and we're going to shut the node off again. And we want to hit this, because this will get us our regen. So we just hit 25. And we're just going to go from here. And we are doing a ton of damage. And this should do it. And there it is. And we're 96 health, 96% health after that. That was fairly fast for a 646,000 Juggernaut. That was going to be 42 seconds, so not bad. So that's our first fight. So on to our second fight. All right, on to our second fight, and that fight is going to be using Count Nefaria against the same Juggernaut. The team I have here, again, is specifically built for synergies. This would not be a touring team that I would normally use. Maybe with the Hood, and maybe with Iron Man on the team, but not necessarily. So let's begin, and we are going to be going after Juggernaut. We are going to work our way to getting our... So we're going to not... I don't have the synergy on here to start into Ionic Overcharge, so we're going to work our way up to that, and then we're going to go from there. So he's going to get debuffs right away, and then we're going to go in to get the Ionic Overcharge, and then we're going to go for a Special 2. So that. Got it. Okay. And he is gaining a ton of power. I didn't want to do that. And we want to go into Ionic Overcharge, but he is... Alright. Now we're going to go right into it. And we finally got that to go off. And... this is probably going to take care of him. Yep, 72,000 on that last hit. That was pretty good. I messed up a little bit there, but we recovered. Ended up at the end of that with about 70-some% of our health, and that was in 51 seconds. Probably would have been a couple of seconds faster. He is not as fast as Photon, but pretty close, and you could see all those energy buildups just going up and going up and going up because he had some energy gain that was going on. And we ended up at 78% health, so it's not too bad. All right, on to our next fight. All right, our next fight is going to be using Spider-Ham, and the team I've got for this one is Scorpion, Mr. Negative, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Gwenpool, and they all give certain synergies to him. That's why I have picked this, but again, we would probably never tour around with this particular group. I might put Scorpion in with him, but the other one's probably not. And our objective on this with the Juggernaut is just to get as many Porker Poppers on him as we can, and then work our way up to a special 2. Most of our damage is going to come from Power Stings, and the source of our debuffs is going to be Power Stings. So we're going to parry. 1, 2, 3. We're going to back up. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take that. I'm going to hit him. Okay, I'm going to let him come at me now. And that's why. Oh, I got hit. Wow, that didn't work. All right, we're going to hit him with the special 3. And we're going to pop him out. There he goes. Okay. So he took a lot of damage from Porker Poppers there. That was pretty fast. So that was 40 seconds. So that's the fastest so far. And typically, Spider-Ham is the fastest one of these characters. A little bit faster, probably a couple of seconds more if I hadn't gotten hit on that one thing. Normally, when he backs up and he does the evade, you can back up again and then come forward because he's unblockable long enough that you can hit them. But that sometimes you recover a little bit faster. All right. So that is our third fight. All right, our next fight is going to be with the Hulk. And I've got my 7-star rank 3 Hulk here. And the synergy team I have is with the leader, Titania, Abomination, and Thor. Again, this is not a touring group, but I might bring Titania in with him just for the synergy, and they're both pretty awesome. And the Hulk is not necessarily going to put a lot of debuffs on to begin with. So we are going to need to get to our Gamma Rage. And we're going to need to get into the Gamma Rage overall from a special 3. So we're going to build up to that. We're going to try and do as many parries as we can with him to keep a debuff. So that the parry is going to be the source of our debuff until we get to the special 3 in the Gamma Rage. And you always need to have a source of a debuff. So we're going to go boom, 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 boom. And I would rather get this guy to a special 2. All right, we're in now. And we're going to go for this. So now all the debuffs are going to turn on. But and it didn't really matter that I got hit because he is now, look at that, 103,000 on a medium with him. That was fantastic. So he's a little different, and with that probably was pretty fast. Let's see here. So that was 42 seconds. That's about the same as it was for Photon. All these tunes are within about 39 to 50 seconds on this fight. So you can kind of tell from how long it takes who's better at doing damage and who's not. Now, the Hulk doesn't have as much utility. He's got a lot of resistance to damage, but the utility is not there like it is for the first 3. But once he's on, he's on. And so, with this, you have to have a source of debuffs. I was able to kind of mitigate that as much as possible. All right, on to our next fight. All right, our next fight is going to be with Luke Cage. And we've got Jessica Jones, Kingpin, She-Hulk, and Rhino on here. He does have a really good synergy with the champion, but the problem is that goes away if you dash back. So I'm not going to be using that, and it does increase the percent chance that he's going to put a debuff on the opponent. But it doesn't really matter. He's going to put a lot on anyway. Now, again, I wouldn't tour around with this group, but I might bring him in with She-Hulk and the Kingpin. So let's get into it. He's going to put debuffs on right away, and he is going to put 4 or more on. So I'm not super worried about being able to stack debuffs off like I could with the Hulk. And we are going to be working up to a special 2 and then a special 1 if we can. Parry, and then we're just going to go. And there we go. Okay. And look, I mean, you can see how much damage he's doing. And I don't have a 144. 100. Look at how fast that was. I did 144,000 damage. And I didn't get to steal the weapon because I don't have a relic on him, which is fine. I mean, he did that in 25 seconds. That was disgusting. Just 25 seconds, 144,000 damage on one hit. So he is by far the fastest. He's got a lot of... He's awakened. He's rank 3. He gets an invulnerable, and he's got a lot of utility as far as he's immune to bleed, and he can take a lot of punishment. He is one of the better ones. Okay, so on to our next. All right, this is going to be our last fight, and it's going to be with Silk, and the team that I've got with Silk is Morningstar, Shocker, Spider-Man, and that's just the OG Spider-Man, and Shang-Chi. The only 2 on here that I probably would tour with is Shang-Chi and Shocker, although my Shocker is not awakened, so he just is kind of sitting there ready to be awakened. And they're going to give her specific things. The Shocker particularly is going to give her the ability to do degens. So that's the main reason I'm doing this. Now, she's going to come out right away and put physical vulnerability debuffs. So that's the source of my debuffs for this fight. And we're going to be working up to a special 2 to be able to do that heavy and then go in and do the special 2 with the Fury on it. And we'll be doing a parry to start out with, and then we'll just be going to get as many of the physical vulnerability debuffs on as we can. And again, we're going to try and work him up to a special 2. I'd rather do that than a special 1. All right, here we go. And she's got that evade, which is nice. So you can see he's taken a ton of debuff damage. And she got hit. Boom. And he should be gone at this point, and he is. Look at that. I mean, that was close to 200,000 points of damage on that. And that is going to be 27 seconds. So almost probably, if I hadn't gotten hit, it'd probably be like 26 seconds. But, I mean, her and Luke Cage are about the same. They just do so much damage. And if you use that special 2, like, combo there, it works perfectly. All right, that is all of our fights. That is our video. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.